Hello guys, welcome to the Uncovered channel once again. Is this your first time here? Please subscribe. And if you're just returning, you have been watching my videos, please hit the like button for me, but also kindly subscribe so we can grow together, okay? Today we are going to take a tour of the largest estate in the whole West Africa called Gwarinpa Housing Estate. This is an estate that is also a district. The entire estate is just a district of its own and oftentimes referred to as a city in a city. This is a city of its own, my guys. Here you find all sorts of things that you need. You find all sorts of businesses, you find all sorts of residential houses. Actually, Gwarinpa was designed originally to be a residential housing estate, but over time, a lot has changed. A lot of the properties here have been transformed from residential houses to commercial houses, but that's because people keep moving into Gwarinpa for different purposes, for different reasons. Some moving here because they like the vibrant nature of the district. Some moving here because they want to reach people who are resident here with the businesses that they do. You'll find different classes of people living in Gwarinpa. You find people of mid-class, you find others who are of upper class. So Gwarinpa is a mid-high neighborhood, if I must refer to it that way. It is an interesting neighborhood I would like to show you. It's divided into avenues. Actually, there are 7 avenues. And so this part of it is First Avenue. We're just going to take a tour of First Avenue today. But in other videos, we'll cover the Second Avenue, 3rd, 4th, 5th, up until 7th Avenue, because there are 7 avenues in Gwarinpa district. This is First Avenue. I just got into the residential part of it where people actually live. The major artery, which is where we just got in from, is business section of it. I'm going to drive right back to it, but for now, let's cover the entire part of where you find residential houses. I drove in from Abuja Development. Abuja Development leads from the city center all the way down to Gwarinpa Housing Estate. You don't even need to drive into any left or right. If you start moving from Federal Housing, if you start coming from the central area, the Federal Secretariat, for instance, just one road will lead you all the way down into Gwarinpa, and that is Abuja Way. That's the way I drove in from where you saw me crossing a bridge. Yes, the bridge there was Kado Estate Bridge, and so that's how I got into Gwarinpa. But immediately I got into Gwarinpa, I took the left turn to get to where I am right now. This is the neighborhood where people actually live. And I would like to show you what it's like, what the neighborhood looks like. You can see there are very beautiful road infrastructures here. The trees also beautify the section of the neighborhood where people live. Very beautiful, beautifully planted trees, of course. People like to plant flowers here as well. So as we drive around these parts where people live, just take note of the different flowers they use to beautify their houses. Of course, you notice that houses here are often fenced off, so people don't just leave their houses open to avoid trespassing and for security reasons. Not like people can come rob you at night if you don't build walls. However, just to demarcate, to be able to tell where your land ends and where the other person's land continues, people like to fence up. However, you notice that the fences are dwarf fences, so that we can still see the inside of the compound. That is what you notice here. But I like the way the trees provide shades, not just for humans, but for cars that you may want to park outside, as you can see here. So I'm just going to drive through the this section where people actually build residential homes and live, and then get back to the road, the major artery of the Gwarinpa First Avenue. You may notice that some of the houses look really old, and you can see that there are some renovations or even outright rebuilding that are going on in some of the residential houses. Well, this place called Gwarinpa Estate was actually developed in early 2000 by the then Sani Abacha, General Sani Abacha, who was the military president of Nigeria. And because of the length of time that has passed over this neighborhood, some of the houses really look quite old, and so some of the structures seem to be growing mold, and so individuals come here, buy over the houses and renovate them or entirely rebuild them to bring back life into them, make them look new again and beautiful. That's why you can see some that are really, really beautiful, but some that still have molds growing on their walls. You will see some of such things as we drive through the entire Gwarinpa neighborhood. But that also means that if you like to live in an estate like Gwarinpa, you can actually come buy a house for yourself in this neighborhood. Yes, you can buy a house. If you want to buy a bungalow, you will find it in Gwarinpa. If you want to buy a duplex, you will find it here. If you want a terrace building, they are here too. And there are apartment buildings that I will show you down the road when we go back to the major artery of First Avenue. I will see you how people also live in apartment buildings here. I will drive into it so I can show you. Gwarinpa is in phase 3 of Abuja Development plan, and it's really a vibrant and thriving neighborhood. You will like to live here. I must tell you, it is a place different sorts of people really like to live. You will enjoy life here because there is hardly anything you need or you desire or you're looking for that you don't find in here. Gwarinpa Housing Estate. Like I said, the upper class live here, the middle class also live here, and somehow even those in the lower class also find a way of still living in Gwarinpa Housing Estate. So there is hardly a type of class that you don't find living in Gwarinpa. There is residence for everyone. It's an interesting neighborhood. Most recently, there has been a development of significant commercial activities here, and so you find various shops, restaurants, bars, and business plazas in Gwarinpa. I'm just going to drive right back to the point where we started this trip, so we can take the road leading off to the business section to be able to show you what people have converted private homes into. Private homes that were meant for residential houses have now been bought over and converted to business parts. So I'm just going to drive down the street and show you the part of this First Avenue of Gwarinpa occupied by businesses, all kinds of businesses. So there are many other roads here that lead off into the residential neighborhoods, but I can't get into all of them, otherwise we'll have more than an hour taking this trip. This is how I got into this part where people live, so I'm just going to drive right back to the road where we started this trip from. Outside of Abuja inner areas like Wusetu, Maitama, Sokoro, and the Central Business District, Gwarinpa has the most vibrant day and night economy you can think of in Abuja. So we are back to the road. This is the business part. Of course, this side also leads off into the residential part, but along the road you see gymnasium, you see banks here to the left, you see schools, you see restaurants, you see offices. Just watch as we drive down the road. You will see pharmacy and see all kinds of businesses along the road. Many of them are restaurants. So the road to my right leads off this estate as well into Ring Road 2 that takes you to places like the outer part of Abuja, like Galadimawa, Lokogoma, and so on. But here is the business section. There are banks, as you can see, filling stations, bakeries, and so on, restaurants, furniture buildings. They are all lining up on this First Avenue. Just take a look. There's a club on this building we just passed to my right, and you find many of them down the road. There is a place called Crush Cafe. It's a restaurant and bar. I think there's also a club in it. There are so many relaxation points that you can find in just one estate. That is what we mean when we say that Gwarinpa is a city of its own, a city inside Abuja city. You find different districts that surround Gwarinpa. There are about 8 districts actually that surround Gwarinpa Estate. You have Katambe and Jahi. In the northeast, there is Kado Estate in the eastern part of it. But you also have Jabi District in the south. You also have Live Camp in the south as well. But you'll still find places like district like Kasana and Dawaki and Kubwa also surrounding Gwarinpa. But in all of that, Gwarinpa seems to be in the middle and leads so easily off to Abuja Central area. It takes about 15 minutes to get into the city from here. So here, there is a market to my right. The market is called Kadobinko Market. It's part of the Kadobinko village that is still left in this neighborhood. Maybe someday I will show you the village where people still live inside Gwarinpa. But for now, this part where I stand right now is where the local market exists, where people who live in Gwarinpa Estate come to shop. It's not the only market, it's not the only local market, but it's one of those that they come here to they visit to buy groceries, food items, fruits. You find all of them in this local market. On a very busy day, this road can be very busy, sometimes almost impassable because of people who come to shop. You may also have noticed that there are so many tricycles in this estate. That is how people move around here. To my right is the Second Avenue. that will be a tour for the next tour. In fact, will showcase 2nd Avenue. I will show you that in the course of this trip. We just passed a junction that leads off to 3rd Avenue, but that will be the 3rd trip that I will show you. Just stay tuned because these trips will be featured back to back. The 5th Avenue is the road that you see to the left. That's the next junction. We're just going to get to. This road here is the 5th Avenue. I'm going to show you in another trip what 5th Avenue looks like, in case that's the part of Gwarinpa you would like to reside. You will see the things you're going to find there. But both sides of the road here, you'll see plazas, especially to my left, you see business plazas and even clubs and lounges domiciled there. There are hotels there on my left as well. But to the right is where you have apartment buildings. If you take a look to the right, you will see that there are buildings that are tall, mostly 3 levels. These are residential buildings mostly, where people choose also to live. I'm going to drive into one of them to show you what those apartment buildings look like. Gwarinpa also has traffic lights, very functional traffic lights. People obey them here as well, so you don't need to worry about traffic situations. They are cared for by the traffic lights, which the residents often obey. So the present administration is also opening up more roads that also get into Gwarinpa. If you take a look at my right, you will see a new road that is coming up right now. It leads right from the left all the way from different districts like Kubwa in the outskirts of Abuja down into town, into the city center, the central area. So very soon people who live in this estate will not even need to go to Moritala Mohammed Expressway or Ahmadu Bello Highway to be able to get to town. They just have to, right inside Gwarinpa, go to town without driving out. So let's get into one of the closes. Here you will see apartment buildings where people also choose to live. These buildings contain block of flats, most time 3-bedroom flats in each block. 3-bedroom flats, you find about 6 of them in each particular block. Families decide to, instead of going to pay for duplexes or bungalow where they can live alone, they may choose to come live in apartment buildings like this and enjoy communal life that is common with apartments like this. So there are many of them in this 1st Avenue. The entire right side that we will be driving along right now, this is what kind of building you'll be noticing on them. Families choose to live like. You can also buy 3-bedroom flats if you don't want to rent. You can actually see some who are selling off their own. You can buy and refurbish it if you want to and live in it. So both sides of the roads you will see closes leading off this avenue. This is just another close where you see those block of flats, but to my left you still find such closes. However, to the left you don't have these apartment buildings there. You have standalone detached houses, sometimes duplexes or even semi-detached duplexes. But to the right you have these apartment buildings. This used to be a hotel, but it looks like it's undergoing renovation. So here is still part of a residential area where people live in 1st Avenue. You can still see that to the left you have duplexes, but to the right you have those apartment buildings. However, some individuals have also bought over properties here and remodeled them. They've given them a new facelift, make them more beautiful, and they are earning more on their rentals because people refurbish, people rebuild, renovate houses by buying them and buying old houses and renovating them and renting them out, or even selling them off outright. You can rent a 3-bedroom flat here for 4 million. You may still be fortunate to get 3.5 million, but mostly 4 million naira. You can find duplexes that are way higher in cost for rent, but again, it depends on the house. The prices of property, both land and houses, vary tremendously in Gwarinpa district. There's no single price or cost. This right side is where you see smaller shops here. We call them corner shops. They are scattered all over Gwarinpa. Almost every avenue has its own corner shop. To the left is Crush Cafe, the bar and restaurant, maybe a club that I talked about earlier. But I was talking about the corner shops. Almost every avenue has a corner shop or has corner shops in them, where small businesses like tailoring, cosmetics shops, small bars, barbecue centers, even boutiques can be sold. So yeah, people also live in some of them. If you go deeper inside, you can see that it provides low-cost housing for the lower class people who also choose to live in Gwarinpa. I hope you've enjoyed this tour of First Avenue Gwarinpa. We're going to continue the tour in other avenues, so please subscribe and like the video and share. See you in the next one.